Hello?
Well, hello. Yes, please adjust your television. It is 8 o'clock on Thursday. It is time for I Stream, You Stream. I am Lord Cash, being joined by AllThatPat and BitOfRits. That's right, 1 and 2. And we are going to be talking about the pilot episode of the new Disney Plus Marvel series, Loki. This is now the third in the TV series that they have ventured into since January. So we've got one in January, we had one in March, and now it is June, and we now have the God of Mischief, Loki, debuting with a glorious purpose. So
TV shows out left and right.
I know, I'm so loving it. And I think, well, the Marvel slate is packed. So they've got in July, you'll have Black Widow in the theater or on Disney Plus if you want to pay the extra money to see it there. You know, you got to pay money to see it either way. So you've got that in July. I believe August will have the animated What If series, which I'm super excited. I want to definitely go down that rabbit hole of those alternate timeline, those alternate universes, which I feel very heavily is being kind of almost springboarded, or kind of like maybe we might do something here once this series is done to the What If. I know the first episode is supposed to be what if Steve Rogers did not take the super soldier serum, but it was actually Carter that actually did it. And so she becomes Captain Carter. And so it's all the things. And I think I saw a clip where Howard Stark puts together some sort of like Iron Man type of a suit. And Steve Rogers is like riding on the back of him like Hero and Baymax. So I'm like super stoked about that one. Just the whole series, you know, because you've got all of the original voice actors from the MCU coming back and reprising their role. So absolutely bonkers for that.
Right. And we even have like MODOK going on over on Hulu as well. So there's a lot of MCU stuff for sure.
Yeah. And of course, there's after that, you've got Shang-Chi in September. October, there's nothing slated, but who knows? Eternals will be going to the theaters in November, and then you've got the third Spider-Man standalone film will be going in December. Now, there's still 2 other Disney Plus series. You have Hawkeye and Miss Marvel, which are supposed to debut late 2021. So still technically this year on Disney Plus, according to what has been advertised. Again, you know, subject to change, void where prohibited, not available in the state of Nebraska or something like that. Yeah, it's weird. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't make the rules. I just say them. But so yeah, Marvel is just on fire right now, and I am absolutely loving it. I know. So before we kind of jump into the what Loki is and what isn't, I want to find out exactly how much homework have you guys actually done. I know last week I did a little what's what of Loki in the MCU and kind of what you can kind of see and where you can kind of see him. So there has been 6 official MCU movies that have debuted in theaters that you can actually watch on the Disney Plus. I'm curious, out of these 6, how many have you actually seen? And how many of them do you actually remember?
Well, I can speak for myself. We did see all of them. However, I did start watching the first Avengers earlier today. To get myself a reminder, because that was one of the big movies where Loki was actually pretty much the main villain.
Yeah, he was the main villain there.
And I actually I looked up some Easter eggs, like you
Uh-oh.
normally do. I actually dove into that today. So
It's
yeah.
The student may become the teacher. So yeah, there's 6 movies. So the first one we first meet him is in Thor 2011. Then again, he becomes the bad guy, so to speak, especially your big villain in the Avengers first movie in 2012. He caused some chaos in Thor: The Dark World in 2013, and then we kind of have a little bit of a break for him. We don't see him on the big screen again until Thor: Ragnarok in 2017, when him and his brother kind of have to go up against their sister Hela, as well as they find Hulk on another planet and everything. So, and then of course you've got Avengers Infinity War, where we do see the demise of Loki, and then we get to see him again in Avengers Endgame when they go back in time to the events of Avengers 2012. So yeah, it's an interesting character. It's definitely, whereas one would say WandaVision, you had like 2 B characters getting their show. One might say that, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, 2 B characters getting a show. I don't know if I would call Loki a B character. Would you?
A-.
A-? All right.
I would consider him a B character only because he's a villain. I mean, because of the kids aren't like running out to get Loki merchandise.
I beg to differ. That Tom Hiddleston Loki draw is out there. There as people dressing up as Loki for Halloween constantly. Now, granted, I could be biased because I'm in the mouse's backyard, so there's a possibility that because of that, there is that heavily Disney Marvel influence where I see it, different from where you guys are and what you see.
Right.
I would imagine right now in California at the Disneyland park, they just opened the Avengers campus at Disney's California Adventure. And I seriously want to go out there. I want to check that out. They've got some really cool stuff out there. And they have 2 Funko Pops that I want.
Only 2 though?
Yeah, there's a Spider-Man and an Iron Man that I want that are exclusive to the Disney parks out there.
I saw like some footage of like the part where Spider-Man is doing like the stunts out there. It's crazy. You have to see.
Yeah, they've been working on that thing for a while. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So so that's kind of where we kind of got to where we are today. And again, as I mentioned, as far as like the timeline goes, the last Avengers movie, Endgame, as far as time wise, was October of 2023. So about 2 years from now is when Avengers Endgame would take place. WandaVision took place a month after that in November. Then you have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier about 5 months after that. And then Spider-Man Far From Home takes place into the June-July timeframe of 2024. Now, because in Avengers Endgame, they go back in time to 2012, they have created this alternate timeline when Loki is actually able to get that Tesseract and is able to kind of disappear in that, Tesseract smoke, if you will, and gets away and escapes from basically S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers there. So, hey, it's Diggs BT Dub. What's up?
G.
Welcome to the program.
Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. So that's basically, they created an alternate timeline, and that's basically kind of where we've started this series. Right off the bat, we are in New York, 2012, right at the events of Avengers Endgame when they go back in time. So they are not skipping any beats, nothing. It is just like perfect. What was your thoughts on how it picked up in regards to what you've actually seen on screen?
Spoiler alert first.
Thank you.
This
is a full spoiler alert for Loki. So if you have not seen the first episode of the Loki series, we do recommend that you pause this and come back once you've actually had a chance to watch the first episode. So thank you for that. I know I mentioned this was a full spoiler review, but again, gotta be, the lawyers gotta make sure you do that little legal talk there. Yes. So we pick up right when Avengers Endgame, that whole situation takes place, and now we're kind of observing it from Loki's perspective. How did that, what was your thoughts on that?
I can tell you what Pat's thought was. Do you recognize any of this? That was literally what he said to me, and I'm like, yes, you don't remember?
Yeah, so I know, because they really don't cover this stuff in the original Avengers. It just, they fast forward and they do some stuff. So you don't actually get to see the stuff that happens at the top of the tower until you go back in time, and you're actually, I think it's Steve and Tony that are actually at the top watching all this take place from their perspective. You get to see all the little nuances that was not revealed in the first movie, but it's kind of filling in those little plot points. So yeah, it's just and there's an interesting thing is when the original Endgame, when they all get into the elevator, they do, like, Loki does a little wave to the Hulk of, haha, you can't ride in the elevator with us, kind of mocking him a little bit. But in the Loki series, they actually kind of zoom in on him and give a single frame of him doing that. And I'm wondering if they actually shot that back when they did Endgame, knowing, because they full knew that the series was going to happen. It's been announced for a long time. In fact, it was one of the things when Endgame was done, we see the death of Loki. We're like, well, okay, but he's got a Disney Plus series. How's this going to happen?
Right.
And then as soon as I saw it on Endgame, I'm like, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. Was like, yeah, same thing you just said. Obviously, BitOfRits said, I didn't recognize a lot of this, but I was wondering, was this footage repurposed or was it actually, reshot? Shot at, you know what I mean? I didn't know if it was exact.
Yeah, as far as Endgame to Loki, they may have just done different camera angles at the same time, because I don't believe those, your core six are getting credit for being in the episode of Loki.
Right.
Not that I'm aware of. So I think that they're just repurposed footage that they just kind of reshot or did something of that caliber for it.
Right.
So, but absolutely, I'm already, over the moon for the series so far. It has done so many cool things. And it's just, I love, I've made it, known, it's no secret. I'm a big fan of time travel. I love alternate realities, different timelines. There is the two of them that I can think of, For All Mankind on the Apple TV Plus, basically goes back to the 60s when we were doing the race for the moon, and the Russians actually beat us. And how?
TV show?
Huh?
It's a TV show on Amazon?
Yeah. No, on Apple TV Plus.
Okay.
So basically because of that, it's how it branched out and gave a different timeline on alternate events. So technically Apollo 13 was one of the last ones. There's an episode where literally it's Apollo 19, Apollo 22. They keep going on with the missions because they never had the failure of Apollo 13, because they did different things with it. So it's just really cool in that one. And then another one is The Man in the High Castle. That one is a Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I watched the first season.
Yeah. I haven't made time to watch the second one, but I thoroughly enjoyed the first one. And basically, it's World War II. What would have happened if the United States didn't win? It was you had Germany, you had Japan, were the ones that won. So you pretty much had the West Coast in California being ruled by Japan, and you had New York kind of side over being ruled by Germany, and then you kind of had like the Rocky Mountains in the middle. That was kind of a neutral zone, so to speak. But again, I'm all about those little alternate timelines. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I just like the feel of this. I didn't really know what to expect. If it was going to be kind of more like a serious action, like almost, like an action show, or like, I don't know, spy kind of feel or whatever. And it definitely was like more campy, but I appreciated that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it reminded me almost like Men in Black, in the sense like these like secret government style agency that's really like retro feeling. But yeah, there's that sarcasm. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of their technology seems to be like from like the 70s and 80s. They're not really advancing along, even though there are certain scenes where it's very much futuristic. You've got all of these. You've got flying vehicles going through these huge buildings. So it's like it looks very like almost like Wakanda to a little bit. So I thought that was kind of a little contrast of the new with the old. So I thought that was kind of cool.
What I actually thought when I saw that the picture of the outside, at first it looked like a painting,
right?
Which a lot of old like 70s sci-fi movies, like including like say Star Wars, they used like paintings to give you that background, and like it just the design of it actually really reminded me of that. It didn't seem like super common futuristic like you would think of. It just looked like an old 70s-esque future.
Right. And it could be this is what we, when you watch movies from like the 60s, 70s, well, this is what we think the future is going to look like.
Right.
I'm kind of almost a painting of that type of thing. So it was just really cool. All righty. So that kind of takes us through kind of the gist of it and everything. The storyline for episode 1, like I said, as we've mentioned, that it picked up right at the Avengers Endgame when Loki picks up the Tesseract and gets away. Because that is not the events that happened at the end of the first Avengers, because basically he is captured. He is taken back to Asgard with Loki to stand kind of trial. And that sets up the events for the Dark World. So definitely it's different. So what they basically has happened is he's now a variant in the timeline. So basically you've got the TVA that steps in. They are the time variant
association or something like that.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Very much Men in Blackish.
Yeah. And they pretty much pick up Loki because he committed a crime, and then they proceed to do the whole processing of him. And because this is one thing that's just really nice is people, generally speaking, love the Loki character. Has a lot of fans for him. But that's because we've had 4 other movies that have featured Thor. I'm sorry, that featured Loki in them. Which most of them are, the other 2 Thor movies. So we've seen a lot of growth and character development from A Dark World, and especially Ragnarok.
Well, that's why I was so surprised when I went back and watched Avengers. I'm like, he's cruel. Like, he is so violent. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot that. He's like stabbing people. And like, they even like allude to that where, in this episode of Loki Part 1, they kind of go back in time, and he's able to kind of see, some of his crimes, some of the things that he did. When Owen Wilson's character, Mobius, kind of shows him that, and they show him like stabbing the one agent from the Avengers, like right in the back.
Coulson.
Coulson, yeah, and I had forgotten about that. I'm like, oh my god! So I was going through as I watched Avengers, like he sliced the guy's head off basically off camera on like the steps of one of the buildings. Like it's just like, holy crap. Because I was used to kind of like what you alluded to and what we see in this episode, where he's kind of sarcastic, mischievous, if you will. But so yeah, there was a lot of development over the series, so it is a to kind of go, all the way through.
So because of that, we had to almost get him back to that lovable puppy dog of a character that we've grown to love by the end of Thor Ragnarok, and actually feel for him and weep for him when he gets killed by Thanos at the beginning of Infinity War.
Right.
So there had to be a lot of character development, and they do a beautiful job of doing that within 45 minutes. And that's basically, they do here's your greatest hits on the the TVA theater that I think they call it. So where basically they've got his whole life on a camera, on a reel, and they're playing it for him. Hey, remember this time? Because Owen Wilson's character is like, why do you do what you do? Do you like hurting people?
I found it interesting that when they go into that room, one of the first things that Loki says is, "This looks like the kind of room that you're going to kill me in."
Yeah. At
the end of the episode, that's exactly what they say, because they're going after the variant or whatever that's running around, and we need your help killing him or destroying him. And it's like, oh, who is it? It's you.
Right.
So it actually just kind of come full circle that his initial statement is actually what ends up being requested.
Well, and that is also because events play out and he's able to escape a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
One of the characters, Hunter B-15, they do battle. And, she tries to, subdue him in that room.
Right. So, that exactly. More literal take on that.
Yeah. So, but basically, because he did not, they're going through the video clips of, hey, here's, your time, when you tried to take over in Germany. You tried to do this, you extracted someone's eye, you tried to take over this, you did that. But that was all the stuff that he was aware of.
Right.
But what really did it was when they started going on to, here's what you've missed. Because you did not get captured, you did not go back to Asgard, you did not go back and have an encounter with your mother. And because of that, you did not get put in prison. And there was a moment where you think you're helping the Frost Giants get into the palace. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it was the Dark Elves. I think it was the Dark Elves, not the Frost Giants. The Dark Elves, and you think you're sending them to Thor, but in fact, you're sending them up to your mother, and they actually kill her. So there's that scene where he sees, I'm not sure if this was it's kind of small. So, no, that was something that's later. Pay no attention to the curtain. But you see that moment where he sees his mom, and of course he freaks out like, where is she? Where is she? I know she's here. What is she doing with this? What have you done with her? Because he cares for his mother. His mother is one of the only people that has truly treated him as a son, whereas kind of, Odin kind of maybe has paid a little favor towards Thor, and Thor has kind of, been that whole brotherly, fighting back and forth, that the mother was really one that only really cared for him. So when he saw that she died and at that quote unquote his hands, it got to him.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, because he sent them in the direction of her when, he thought they're singing to Thor. Well, and then he has, also that realization as well when, the end of the reel happens and he actually sees basically his own death.
Yeah. So on top of that, he sees the moment where he's talking to his father, and he pretty much disappears and does the vanish into the Force ghost, so to speak. So he sees, and there is that moment where Odin is like calls him son, tells him he loves him, and that just like really gets to him. He sees the moment where it's him, Thor, Valkyrie, on the Bifrost trying to defend Asgard. He sees that moment that hasn't happened yet. Then, of course, there's the moment where he sees Thanos literally having him choked, where he when he tries to kill him, he kills him. And in fact, there's at the very end, it's end of the line. It's in end of the tape. So end of file. So pretty much this cements that Loki truly did die on board the ship with Thanos. Thanos did kill him. There was no trickery involved in this. He is dead.
Yeah.
But because now we've got a second chance with Loki, who knows where they're gonna, what's gonna happen, where he's gonna end up at the end of things. But I'm definitely
time rewinder. You never know.
Yeah. Well, again, he could definitely. Okay, since I've helped you capture this other variant of me, my favor, my payment is drop me off in 2025, where the new timeline is currently going, and we may we might see him later on.
Right.
I believe Tom Hiddleston has said that he is not going to appear in the fourth Thor movie, Love and Thunder. So, as sad as that is, I'm kind of glad, because I think that Thor needs to grow as a character himself without Loki being there. And there's going to be a lot going on with Thor and Jane during that movie that will be fine without Loki. And they've about 2 weeks ago, I think they officially wrapped on that movie. So it's going into post-production. So pretty soon we're going to have Thor Love and Thunder on our, in the theaters.
We'll have to kind of do a catch up on those movies too. Cause while you're showing the timeline, I'm like, there's 3 Thor movies.
Yep.
I thought Ragnarok was the second one, but I forgot about Dark World. So
yeah. So technically all of your main ones that have had movies have had 3. Because you've got Iron Man 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
You've got Captain America, the First Avenger, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Captain America, Civil War. And then you've got Thor, the Dark World, Thor Ragnarok. So since Hawkeye doesn't have a movie, and Black Widows hasn't come out yet.
Incredible Hulk has 2, but Incredible Hulk had 2, but they feature different actors.
Right, and technically, legally, we at this point, Marvel cannot have a standalone Hulk movie.
Really?
Yeah. So it's tied in with the Universal Incredible Hulk ride.
Huh.
Yeah, there's some legal stuff in that they can't do which is why Hulk has always been. That's why he was a part of Ragnarok. That's why he's had all these other stuff where he's been a part of, and of course the storyline from Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame, that little bit kind of played out to kind of a little bit of the World War Hulk storyline a little bit.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's just one of those legal things that they can't do with him yet. So hopefully we'll get there. So I know we've kind of talked a little bit about, the storyline. What was your, if you have anything else to add as far as, what did you think about this episode? What are you thinking about the series? What are you kind of expecting to kind of come out of it?
I really like Owen Wilson. I think that he does the character of Mobius excellently. I like him as an actor to begin with, but he's got this like he comes across as he knows what he's asking,
right?
But he comes across as being almost naively curious, in a way that I feel like he does care about, like, getting inside of Loki's head to like get to the bottom of like why does he do the things he does. And it's just one of those things where like I almost don't trust him, you know, but I can't help but trust him because the way that he asks the questions, you know. He almost doesn't seem like he is on board with the group that he works with, because he almost has to go against what they want to do when he basically spares his life. You know, like, no, let me do this. But, you know, I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, he's definitely going rogue a little bit as far as he's an out of the box thinker, which I think is great. So
thinker with a bunch of government officials who just sit behind desks.
Yeah. So I you know, that's almost a synopsis for a lot of, you know, plot points, you know. But I think this works well. You've got that company espionage, kind of almost they're going to build up to a buddy cop a little bit, but definitely has that Men in Black feel to it. And I'm only sad there's only 5 episodes left. That's my bad thing. I can say there's only 5 episodes left.
There's definitely a lot of like silly humor, which is like just very unexpected, I guess, for me when I'm thinking about Loki, and like how you were saying that he's like, you know, so like dangerous and like just killing everybody, and it's like I just didn't expect that, you know, what's a fish or what, you know,
right?
Trying to be serious and threatening, and like it just breaks up this like menacing person into like, you know, he's just like can't do anything really because he has no powers there or whatever. It's like he's like a helpless puppy or whatever.
Like he has to go through like the queue line in the beginning when he first gets to where he's going, and they're like go all the way. Do I really have to walk? Yes, you have to go through all the stanchions.
You need your ticket, and the other guy is yelling about his ticket, and he doesn't have it, and he gets, you know, killed instantaneously, and he's like, "Where's my ticket?" So he's like almost like just a normal everyday person since he doesn't have his powers, you know. So it's like that's also I think why we're able to connect and be sympathetic with him, because he is just like an average Joe in this alternative location.
Yeah.
Right. Location.
Yes. But
sorry, I did that.
Every show.
I know. There's gotta be some wordplay.
Exactly. You beat me to the punch.
So we as of right now, they've been releasing some character posters. They did it for WandaVision. They did it for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. To my knowledge, as of this point, they've only released 4 character posters. So as far as we're kind of talking about the characters within the show, I'm kind of jumping on those because I know some of them may not seem like they're very big in the greater episode, but we're gonna see. You know, we got 5 episodes to go. I feel there are 2 characters that we're probably going to get next week that are going to be very significant. But the first one I have is you know, and I'll kind of go through them as we see them on screen. So the first one, of course, is Loki, Tom Hiddleston. You know, if you're familiar with his work, he's been in Kong Skull Island, which is funny because he's also in that movie with Brie Larson, who plays Captain Marvel, and Samuel L. Jackson, who, of course, is Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Now, is there anything to the lettering in the logo? Like, you know, what are the designs for each of the 4 letters?
So there's more than 4 technically, I believe, because if you actually like watch the end of the series of the credits, they're jumping through. And that's basically because it's the different timelines, the different variants that are out there, the different versions, so to speak, of said character. So I know right off the bat, you kind of have this Loki in 4 different letter fonts. I think it just kind of adds a little bit to it. But I don't know if there's anything specifically to it, except for there's just the different timelines that's going to be happening.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
So, so I want to mention a couple other ones because I don't know if anybody's out there, but Crimson Peak and War Horse are two other movies that Loki's Tom Hiddleston in. But the movie I Saw the Light is actually a movie that Tom Hiddleston plays Hank Williams, who is a country singer. I believe the father to Hank Williams Jr. Just going off on a limb there, who, of course, very prolific in the country music world. And he actually it's very kind of a similar what you might think of like Walk the Line when Joaquin Phoenix does Johnny Cash.
Which I'm glad you mentioned that. He is a ringer for Joaquin Phoenix at times. Tom related.
Tom Hiddleston?
Yes.
Looks like Joaquin Phoenix.
There are moments when he does.
Okay.
Because Joaquin Phoenix played the Joker, correct?
That is correct in the movie Joker.
Yeah, I'll have to find some screen grabs. I was watching it. I was like, looks like Joaquin Phoenix. So, yeah.
So, now, I am horrible when it comes to putting letters together and actually pronouncing words. So, the actress that plays Hunter B-15 is Wunmi Mosuku.
Mosaku.
If you're watching right now,
you can read it phonetically for us.
Yes. Well, I was gonna say, if you're watching right now, just please unmute yourself and let us know how you say your name.
Oh. Yeah, definitely. Send us a comment. I will send you a link to have you join and properly give us a tongue lashing as to brutally messing up your name.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but this actress is very popular from the show Lovecraft Country, I believe on HBO Max. His House, Luther, as well as she has a role in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So I don't recall her being in Fantastic Beast, but I guess I might have to watch it again. Now, this one, we actually don't get to hear her name. And again, this is another one of those situations where here's her name. So Ravonna Renslayer, played by
Gugu?
Yeah.
Gugu?
Yeah. Gugu Mbatha-Raw?
Sure. That's probably better than I would ever do. So she's in the show, The Morning Show, that's on Apple TV Plus with Steve Carell and some other, I can't remember the lady's name. I think Jennifer Aniston might be in it. So then there's the Netflix series, The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, A Wrinkle in Time, and then the Cloverfield Paradox. She has more movies to her credit, but some of those are just the ones that are at least more well-known that, maybe if you haven't seen it, like, oh, I might go check her out.
Right.
Now, the next one was very, very difficult, only because
Owen Wilson.
He has so many movies to his credit that I had just kind of, like 3 of them are just franchises. So I just left it at that. I'm like, you have the Cars franchise, you've got the Zoolander franchise, Night at the Museum, and I was like, okay, what's the 4th movie that I could put here?
I was gonna say, I better see Wedding Crashers on there.
I did put Wedding Crashers, but I was like, but I know AllThatPat would be really disappointed if I didn't put the Royal Tannenbaums on there.
I do like the Royal Tenenbaums. They're one of the few people.
I know, that's why I mentioned it. But his character's name, Mobius M. Mobius.
You put Zoolander, so that's really that's where my heart is.
Yeah, I'm like, so, and of course he does voice the Lightning McQueen on Cars, so he's got a lot of franchises under his belt. And technically there's the Meet the Parents, the franchise that he has. So there's like 3 or 4 films there. But I wanted to at least stray away from at least one of the franchises to give, I'm like, I even asked Lady Cash, I'm like, when you think of Owen Wilson, what movie do you think of? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, fine. I'm going to go with Wedding Crashers. I feel like
the first Wedding Crashers was the first movie that I learned his name from. If that makes sense.
So yeah, I feel like that's one of those like really, really staple movies that people would know him from is Wedding Crashers outside of, those other 3 franchises. So, hey, maybe we might get a Wedding Crashers 2, and that may become a franchise. So here's thinking. So we've kind of talked about the characters. We've kind of talked about the little storyline a little bit. Anything you guys wanted to say before I jump into kind of talking about some of the old Marvel Cinematic Easter eggs?
No.
No pressure, by the way.
You probably got to pull this up, but I'm really interested to talk about in those Easter eggs as far as when they open up the drawer in the office, the things that you do see in there, because there's a lot of different thoughts about what you do see.
Right. And I'll kind of just go ahead and I'll do my graphic. It is now time for the Marvel Cinematic Easter eggs. Woo! All right. So since you did mention it, I do have a slide of it. Unfortunately, I really don't have much to talk about it. You do see like 5 of the reality gems, 3 or 4 of the time gems. I think there's a couple power, a couple space. There's 2 of the oh bugger, what is orange? I did this on last time I was doing this. Orange is the soul stone. So that's the one you get off on Volmir. So I really haven't seen much about it. There's like a medal right there. I know there's a casino chip for like $5,000 in there, right there in the middle tray.
Well, there's a picture of a person, like a very old, like a photo of an old person. Like, is that like a character from, like a very, like a character that lived like a couple hundred years ago, or Captain America, or something along those lines?
It looks like he might be wearing a
like a little bit of a uniform, yeah.
I don't know. I would be interested to see folks that have had a better look into it.
Yeah, there's a dagger in there. There's a cross.
Yeah. So kind of just to see, if someone with a better zoom capability that would be able to kind of see what exactly is in there. And maybe we might see some stuff later on.
Right.
And what is the reference to having so many of the Infinity Stones? Is it just because there's so many across different timelines? Because they're like Chuck E. Cheese prizes.
So I'm glad you asked that. And I'm going to mention this just because at the very beginning when Loki is being brought in, if you notice on the far right, there is a scroll in a blue tracksuit. So he's now, they flipped it, he's now on the left-hand side. But you see this guy, right? I have a theory. If you go back to Captain Marvel and you look, when they get back to the ship that's above Earth where the Tesseract is, you have a scroll and the exact same blue tracksuit.
Huh.
So that being said, at one point in time, that scroll took the Tesseract, which is an Infinity Stone, and decided to use its power and get out of there.
Right.
Now, of course, the TVA would step in and go, no, that Tesseract has to stay there until Captain Marvel comes and rescues it, and thus putting in the hands of S.H.I.E.L.D. so that way they can experiment on it through the Pegasus Project. So that way Loki can come through the gate in 2012 and thus sending on the cinematic universe down its pathway. So in this instance, tracksuit scroll takes it, disappears. The TVA steps in and goes, nope, sets off the little time bomb, puts everything back in place. But now you've got this scroll variant who is now in the TVA with another Tesseract, which, who knows if it's been cracked open to reveal the blue stone inside.
Right.
And I
So
think part of it too, they had said, I think it was to make him realize too that, you know, what he sees as the ultimate power is not even going to do anything where he is right now, to really again like bring home the fact that like he needs to just accept where he is and what they're offering him.
Yeah, there's a point when he's on trial. He's like, guilty of being the god of mischief. Yes. The god of being guilty of this or that. Yes. Guilty of whatever. No. And he's like, well, then what are you guilty? And, like, I'm guilty of this.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you doing? Like, and of course, B-15 is like, he's trying to use his powers, which don't work here in the TVA. So all like magic and all powers are, null and void. They get rendered inert. So
one power that they have in there is done with a little device, the little rewind trinket.
So with that, it's just that none of the Infinity Stones are anything. So throughout time, various people who have had in connection to the Infinity Stone, if they've done something that hasn't been part of this sacred timeline, then they get hauled off to the TVA with said Infinity Stone, and basically everything is put right, so that way it flows according to how we know it.
Right.
So that's what I feel is part of the having all those Infinity Stones. And I was like, yeah, some of them use them as paperweights. Some of them. Which I feel like that little throwaway line, some of them is going to possibly play into future stuff later down the road, possibly with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Gotcha.
So they're sowing their seeds right now, which is great. I love it. Another one of the Easter eggs that we have is looking here right off the bat. We have an homage to the movie Iron Man. I don't know if you caught this.
So I didn't. Like I saw this one. I did see this one, but like it's been much like everything else. We have not seen Iron Man since 2008 whenever it came out. So yeah, I was like, okay, but I didn't have much, connection to it really.
So basically, after he takes the Tesseract and goes away, he lands in Mongolia. So you've got all the sand around him. So it's very, very similar to that of when we see Iron Man. And I'm going to do this little number. So right here in Iron Man, he's just landed after he leaves the cave, and he's got all the garbage around him, takes everything off. And so it's kind of like a little homage to that is basically what they're doing with that scene from Loki. So I thought that was kind of just a little nod,
right?
If you will. So there was that one. Right off the bat, when trying to think of exactly when it was he gets there, he lands, and then he delivers this line where he jumps up onto the rock, and he delivers the line to the Mongolians, basically saying,
Loki of Asgard.
And he also,
I am burdened with glorious purpose.
So basically, he's like, I am Loki of Asgard, and I'm burdened with purpose, glorious purpose.
Glorious purpose, yes.
So at the beginning, when we first see him,
I am Loki of Asgard.
He gives the same line.
Burdened with glorious purpose. Loki.
The exact same line, right again. And of course, I love that he was like, Loki, you're Thor's brother. Just that whole, you get no credit for being your own person. You're Thor's brother. But again, he delivered it at the beginning of Avengers, and then a couple hours later, he's delivering it again at the beginning of the Loki episode. I thought that was a nice little thing there that they did.
Right, it's like his personal catchphrase, at that point.
Now, one of them that made me laugh, and I trying to find the image of it here, and I'm failing to do so. But basically, when he gets into the little queue line, the guard is like, make sure you grab your ticket. And he's like, why not? Fine. There's only 2 of us here. I'm like, fine, get a ticket. Whereas the other guy did not grab a ticket.
Yeah.
And goes up to the front. And the guy's like, where's your ticket? He's like, and of course he like turns, spins around. The guy never told me to get a ticket. I wanted to get a ticket, but he wouldn't give me a ticket. Why are you getting angry with me? And pretty much takes out the wand and disintegrates him.
Now, is that what they're referring to as pruning? Because they keep mentioning about like you don't want to get pruned or whatever. Is that what they're actually referring to?
Possibly, because again, that you are taking everything away from being a variant, and whether or not it's being what's what I'm looking for. You're not being returned to the original timeline. So I guess that's why you're a variant. So if you're guilty, I think you actually kind of get pruned. You get disintegrated. Otherwise, they kind of find a place for you.
Right. I mean, and as soon as you arrive, they make you as generic as possible as well, which I thought that was a kind of funny thing too. Like you going down the different floors, and they stripped him of his clothes and put him in that like workers prison jumper basically.
Yeah, and I love how he's like, sign this to verify this is everything you've said. What?
Yeah.
This too. This is absurd. And that as well. I just like, I want to see how much, I almost wanted to see him just like keep talking, and just new page. Do you know, and I noticed this, that Loki signs his name with a lowercase L.
Okie doke.
I'm wondering if that's just because he's a lowercase god. I don't know. It just, when he signed it, it was just a straight down, and then he did the circle for the O. That there was not a, little.
Is the logo though uppercase?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I have that ready. It's awesome.
I did a lot of prep on this.
I
don't have. I'm missing the one clip I'm looking for, but whatever.
Now, I don't know. I'm looking at the thing down here. Like there was when they're in the church.
Yes.
And there's a couple things that happen in there, including the child. But on the stained glass, there is a demon and a satanic looking figure. And I had seen some people online were once again digging up the whole Mephisto.
No, it's not Mephisto.
Yeah, but as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, this guy again. It's like they keep like, it's funny, like there's so many like nods and possibilities of like Easter eggs that when Mephisto finally comes out, he's just gonna be wearing like a business suit, just going, "What's up?" and then get on a bus and leave. It's like it's gonna be nothing.
Yeah, this is one of those images that came out way before WandaVision. That I think this is kind of what sparked the whole Mephisto storyline. On top of the fact that in WandaVision we get the 2 boys that are directly tied to Mephisto.
Right.
But if you notice that on that, he's got the horns. He's wearing green. That's Loki. Essentially that is what the Loki of Asgard. He's got the helmet with the horns. He wears a lot of green. Authentic Asgard leather, by the way.
Well, I went with the whole Loki thing as well, because right after they see it, Owen Wilson's character Mobius talks to the little kid, and he notices that his teeth are blue.
Yes. And
he mentions that basically the kid points at the stained glass, that's who gave him the candy. And again, one of the most classic novelty joke candies of all time is the ones that make your teeth blue.
Right.
Just Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and you'll see that he gives Francis the gum. Yeah. The deep cut right there. But so that alone is at that trickster mentality, which I think that kind of like really tied in the fact that it was Loki and not Mephisto.
Well, if you look at so it's called kablooey. But if you look on the far right of the thing of gum, you've got a frost giant, which is exactly what Loki is. He is a frost giant descendant. So that is how when Odin finds him in Thor, that's why when he touches certain cold things, it doesn't affect him.
Right.
And so we kind of see that. And in fact, there's one segment where he actually goes all frost giant in Thor, I believe. Now, of course, when I saw that, I thought of one thing. It's called kablooey. So naturally, I think of bazooka bubblegum.
Right.
No?
Sound effect.
Well, I'm like, what does a bazooka sound make? Kablooey. No?
I agree.
I just thought of the blue. I went more literal with the blue because his mouth.
It was a,
Right. Well, I'm sure that plays into it.
Yeah.
But again, it's gum.
Yeah.
And more, that's Asgard gum, if you will. Whereas, Earth gum, you've got bazooka. I think that kind of goes into, to me, that's what I felt.
It's the Pepsi to the Coke with the different
Exactly.
The different
Now,
who's the kid?
it's a random kid.
Kid number 3.
No, but seriously, like how did this kid have contact with Loki, talk with Mobius, not freak out? I don't know if they did the whole Men in Black switcheroo on this kid. Like it was just such a weird thing where it's just kind of like, oh, there's some random kid that has a lot of information about a pretty significant character in the world.
Right. Well, I think, just because he bursted in, the one guy was like, what's going on? And then Owen Wilson's like, well, hold up, let me find out what's going on, imbecile, over here.
I speak Italian too, or whatever.
I speak all the languages on the timeline. So, and I think it's just because he saw the blue in the mouth, and it's like, okay, that's not normal for the, the 1400s.
Yeah, I mean, he has teeth.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a dentist.
But what was weird is like after he's like done, was like, okay, go outside, and then he's like, okay, set the charge to reset everything. I don't know if there's a proximity to reset, or if they're going to leave this kid with these memories.
That's what I'm getting at, is like, what's the, why is this kid not, because otherwise, like, okay, kid, have a seat, but yeah, he had them get out of there.
So I don't know exactly how the reset works. They haven't really shown that yet. They kind of started showing when they were doing the reset in Mongolia, where the orange turns to purple to reset it. But outside of, is there a radius of how much is done? Or it's only affected the people that have had in contact with the anomaly? I don't know. Because it's back in, the way back time, who knows if we're going to see these, character again. Maybe now the kid has grown up and is like, in the 30s and, is now pledging allegiance to, this devil creature that he's pointed out, they gave him gum a long time ago. Now,
okay.
Before you kind of go on, since we talked about Mephisto, I wanted to kind of at least point this out. There was a thing in here that Loki's creator expanded the time travel and what makes a villain a villain. So I think this was talking about Mephisto. They actually had this filmed before WandaVision. And so when they saw WandaVision, they were like, oh, this is going to be interesting. But no, it's more relevant to the theme of the show and not a nod to that character. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That was that has already been alluded to. I want to say the creator was like, no, it's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. So
what are the? I mean, I don't like spoilers, so we know, but like, what do you anticipate for the follow-up next week on Wednesday? Because we kind of left off with like, there being an agreement between Loki and Mobius that they're going to work together, but then at the very, very, very end, they the TWA, or TNA, whatever it was, ends up in the 1400s, I believe it was, and there's a mysterious cloaked figure that basically lights them up. They found gasoline in the field that gets lit up, and they said, yeah, it just burns everybody. Like, who is this character? What are they going for? What are your thoughts?
That character is going to be Loki. He's the one killing everybody, no?
According to Mobius, he is the one killing everybody.
I have an important question.
Okay.
Mobius's middle name is also Mobius?
I would not be surprised if it was Mobius.
Marsha.
And so I know since you talking about the character, I want to point out this is not the first time we have heard the name or the term Mobius within the MCU. And that is because back in Avengers Endgame, when Tony's trying to figure out so when he's trying to figure out time travel, he tells Friday to use the time travel in the shape of a Mobius strip.
Yeah.
But then like turn it upside down or something of that nature. And that's what actually creates time travel.
Huh.
So the fact that the Mobius strip creates time travel and you've got a character with the name Mobius that's working for the TVA. I like it. And just so I could go back to it, I wanted to point out the whole ticket thing. When I saw that, this is exactly what I thought of from Indiana Jones and Last Crusade when he punches out the Nazi, throws him out, and gives a line.
You didn't have a ticket. Yeah.
No ticket. And then, of course, everyone's like, I got a ticket. Here you go. I got a ticket. So after seeing that one guy disintegrated, he's like, where's my ticket? I've got it. Okay, I've got it. I'm good. That's what it really. I thought there was a little Easter egg to that.
Right. That is. I wouldn't have thought of that, but that is pretty funny.
Yeah, that one I can say. I definitely got that one myself. I didn't pull that from any other website or anything like that. When that was all Lord Cash. So let's see. What other stuff we talked about? We find out that Loki in the 70s was none other than the elusive character of D.B. Cooper. Are you familiar with this person?
Honestly, only because I did look that one up, and then apparently this was a real person.
Oh yeah,
that was like wanted for all this crimes.
Yeah, so he was basically in his mid 40s, got onto a flight and then hijacked it, and going towards Mexico City, like bailed out of it, and took all this money with him, and they've never been able to find him or find all the money, to my knowledge. Well, we now know why we have never been able to find him, because as soon as he jumps out of the plane, he gets a hop on the Bifrost Express to go back to Asgard.
Right.
So I thought that was a nice little way of explaining some of those mysteries that we've had in the world, that it's been Loki. I feel like they need to change the song. It's been Loki all along.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I just thought that was kind of cool. Like I said, DB Cooper, who don't know what's happened to him, boom. So I thought that was kind of nice. Now, when I actually have the whole TVA commercial that they do, but because it's longer than the quick seconds, I don't want to get penalized for playing that one. So I'm not gonna play that, but I do have a couple scenes from it. This one here, if you look on the left, I believe those are your Kree soldiers, the guys in blue that we see Captain Marvel. And I want to say that I've heard that the people on the right are like are the Nova warriors that we see from Guardians of the Galaxy that are part of that live on Xandar. So I'm curious if that actually is, but I want you to kind of take a look at the building or whatever that's in the back, whatever. It kind of looks like a jagged star almost.
Right.
Again, not the first time we've seen that. When Thanos is on Titan, we see those things on the planet that Thanos grew up on.
Okay.
So I don't know if Thanos was part of the Time War that, had to be set right, or because of
how it works,
or if because they had to set things right, that's what caused his planet to grow in population and not have enough resources, and thus he wanted to basically kill everybody, or at least half the population.
Right. Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. Speaking of Captain Marvel, I would love to find out if this cat is also a flurkin like Goose. Do you remember what a flurkin is?
I'm sorry, I thought you just spoke a different language. I was like, a cat flirking like Goose. I'm like, is it the Swedish chef talking right now? It's like, Goose.
Goose.
It's getting late. I'm like, whoa, wait, what?
I have the Funko of it, but I want to find if I can actually see the scene in it. But I think I might just better use the Funko Pop to do it. Give me a second here. Flurkin. What the flurkin is going on?
You kind of paused for a quick second. It was a little choppy, and if someone watched that real quick, it could have sounded like something else.
So Goose is a flurkin. He's got these tentacles that come out of his mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And at one point, he swallows the Tesseract. And then the deleted scene, or not the deleted scene, but the post-credit scene is Goose on Fury's desk and coughs up a hairball that is the Tesseract.
Yeah, I remember this now, actually.
So, yes. Like I said, I want to find out if this cat is also a flurkin, just in case, because he comes down, the prisoners come down, and I just imagine if they get rowdy or whatever, that's the defense mechanism. You get out of line, the flurkin's going to get you.
Yeah.
So.
I'd forgotten all about that, actually. But, yeah, that was a pretty amusing scene, actually.
And then, of course, when they're going through the TVA infomercial, they mention a couple of things. They talk about, variants going off on their own and causing madness that might, develop a couple of multiverse. So if you kind of reword some things, you get the subtitle to Doctor Strange 2, The Multiverse of Madness. So I wonder if that was done on purpose.
Right.
But then they also say that when this happens, there's a variant, a Nexus event happens.
Yeah, whoever.
So of course, when that happens, my first thing that I think of is
the Nexus balls or something, right?
So there's the Nexus stuff that they, they were doing with WandaVision about getting back to the reality, or the reality of your choice.
Right.
And of course, Wanda, as the Scarlet Witch, is a Nexus being, which means she is constant in every single timeline and every different universe. She is the same. So that's why they have to get rid of these Nexus events, because they don't want them to happen, because it causes chaos and madness and whatever. Let's see. Going through the rest of it, I think that's almost all I have. One thing I'm sure it's kind of a no-brainer per se, but when you get the Marvel Studio, it's green for Loki, very similar to when we had WandaVision. It was black and white, which apparently I didn't load that slide up.
Are you sure it wasn't green because they just didn't clean it properly?
It's a possibility. But of course we had the purple for when we had the episode dealing with Agatha. And then of course, like I said, the black and white for the first episode of WandaVision. So a little flair to it to give a little extra something.
Woo!
Exactly.
It's contractually obliged. I have to woo when I hear flair.
So I've got two more things that I believe that are on my quote unquote Easter eggs. One is a very loose one, but we'll see. So first one that's a little more concrete. As you mentioned that they go to 1858 in Oklahoma, which I did a little investigating on that. The 1858 is 1 year before we discovered oil. So again, the shadow figure was able to utilize those events to draw the TVA there, thinking, some guy just got a time machine and wanted to make money by getting the oil before it was discovered in 1859, and it was actually discovered in the Salina, Oklahoma. So I thought that was kind of cool that they actually played into like real historical events.
What is that staff though? It does not look like the Loki staff. I was just curious, what is that? Because that's what I was thinking. Whoever the character is that did that lighting up a fire, that's why I didn't think it was Loki.
It is a shovel.
No, it is not. It's a shovel.
Look at the handle.
But it has weird circle thing.
Yes. Hold on just a moment, because at some point they do a scan of it, and they say that it's from the 30 it's a third millennial something. And so bear with me just a moment, because I am working hard over here to make sure that I do everything within my power to give you a great show and everything that you're asking for.
I'll say the one that you feel is loose. I heard if you take, I think it's fiber, it'll help with that.
That is good. I actually might need that.
Oh Jesus! Too much information from both of you right now. Well, you don't even know.
So I've loaded it up. Now they scanned it. And if you actually look on the display, you see that it is a shovel. It's got that little curvature at the bottom.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's from the third millennial. That's third millennial. So basically, it's from the 31st century.
Oh, okay. Futuristic shovel.
Basically, that's what it looks at. So again,
millennials.
They say that someone found you just got a time machine that was going back in time to. So basically, from that time frame. Now, that ties into a little bit with the judge, who was I believe Gugu. So basically, this person is supposed to be the human version of the future, and has a ties to the 31st century with a character called Kang.
Okay.
And supposedly, he's supposed to be dealing with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And so it kind of just ties in with that 31st century stuff going on. Now, here is the big possible I don't want to say spoiler, but this is who I believe that figure is. You ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Sophia Di Martino.
Who's this?
This is a female version of Loki.
Oh.
A female variant of Loki. And she is the one that's going back through time, killing everybody, trying to set up some sort of something.
Well, I heard something where like they scanned like his ID card or something, and it said that he is gender fluid, which obviously has, you know, various connotations, you know what I mean, in typical life. But in this one, it's almost a very literal take on gender fluidness, if that is what they are alluding to, that there could be a female version of Loki, not just a
male version.
No, but not just an orientation as well, but an actual literal gender fluid character.
Right. So in Norse mythology, Loki has always been gender fluid.
Right.
He literally can change his sex at any time. You know, with Greek mythology, usually Zeus is male all the time, does this thing with the ladies. You know, Aphrodite, female, does her stuff with the men.
Gave birth out of his head or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So various times do like the Greek and Roman gods actually gender swap, whereas in Norse mythology, Loki, there's actually in that I don't know if you're familiar. You probably are about the Percy Jackson series.
Yeah, I haven't read them, but I do. My students do.
They're fantastic. I've read all 15 books.
15?
There's 15. Yeah. There's 3 storylines that are 5 books each.
Thank God.
So
like 3.
Yeah,
like Loki.
Yeah, it's like my gods. Yes.
So like the first one deals with Percy Jackson and him coming to, you know, dealing with the Titans and everything. The second storyline, they introduced the Roman gods, and so there's there's now there's Camp Half-Blood, which deals with the Greeks, and then there's the Roman school kind of school camp that I'm blanking on right now. But they deal with that, and all this. They're dealing with like Mother Earth, Gia, and everything. And then the third one is because Apollo interfered in the second batch, he gets turned into human because of Zeus punishing him. And so now there's 5 books of him being a human and trying to understand his humanity and things of that nature. So we some good stuff there. But there's another series where it deals with the Norse mythology, and there is a Loki male and a Loki female version that like Loki's my mom, Loki's my dad type of thing. That was my long explanation of going to that, so I apologize.
No. There's a lot. And that's like I just didn't. I was more stuck on the 15 books of Percy Jackson. I had no idea.
So one more thing, and then we're gonna wrap things up for the evening. This little clip here. After Loki kind of gets the little time twister and breaks free, this character in the background looks like a lady in a blue dress being brought in by a TVA agent. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the CSI technology to enhance. But if you were to kind of look at the screen, you might have a guess as to who that looks like?
Yeah, actually, Agent Peggy Carter or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. So
that's funny.
It looks like Peggy Carter. And I was actually trying to see if I saw a clip where she's wearing that same outfit. So who knows if it actually is her? The fact that she's had various things that she could have done, again, maybe she did take the serum.
Right.
And now it's become a variant because Steve Rogers needs to do it. So they go back in, reset everything, and has brought her now to the TVA. Or if something has happened with another Infinity Stone, who knows? But yeah, I thought that was, I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'll make mention of it just in case they play with any other MCU characters that I'm like, oh, look, they're just got, someone else got brought in. Oh, look, that character just got brought in.
I wouldn't have noticed it just by watching it, but as soon as you pointed out, we're both like, yeah, that definitely looks like her.
Yeah. So, but that pretty much kind of wraps up episode 1. Before we head on out of here, is there anything you guys wanted to add? I know we've been going for a little long now, but again, it's the pilot episode, a lot of stuff to digest. Hopefully next week's episode won't be as lengthy because we'll just we won't have to dive into all of the backstory. We'll just kind of focus right in on storyline, talk about any new characters, and let's talk about those Easter eggs. So anything you guys wanted to add before
I definitely enjoyed this episode 1. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the series. Yeah,
it's like I said, I am 100%. I've been on board for every single series. I don't know why. It's like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so surprised that I'm liking the series, but they've done a fantastic job. I'm loving this.
I like the feel of this one better. It's like more like campy and like a TV show from, maybe what I would picture in like the 80s or 90s feel. So that's what it was just unexpected, but in a good way. Like WandaVision was very unexpected.
Very unique.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely some different stuff there going on. So, alrighty. Well, this has been the first episode of iStream Ustream, talking about Loki episode 1. Of course, we have a whole bunch of other stuff that we talk about on the New York Nerd Show. So if you want to see any of our other shows, definitely like, subscribe, spread the word of the nerd out there. We want other people to join on in and catch on all our shows. We've got a bunch out there. We've got a full slate of stuff. I absolutely love it. So today, Thursday, we do iStream Ustream, where we talk about some sort of streaming show. Right now, it is Loki over on Disney Plus. Once this is done, I know we've got Space Jam Legacy. We're going to be talking about. We're going to bring in our special guests, Allie and CC, to be talking about those movies amongst a bunch of other stuff. So I'm excited about what's on the horizon for there. Tomorrow is Friday. We're going to be talking about Funko Royalty, where I'm going to be showing off some of my Funko sets. I did the math today. As of right now, it still holds true. My top 5 Funko Pops that I have, according to Pop Price Guide, is just barely over $2,500.
Wow.
Jeez.
And I was going to show a kind of a little audible mention tonight, but I left it downstairs. But I was going to show you my 6th most valuable pop. But it was from the show Miraculous. So for all those Miraculous fans out there, I got the full set, and it's like $210 right now.
Wow.
It's Allie's, though she hasn't taken it out of the box. She's not allowed to, and that's why, because it's got some value to it. On Saturday, we talk Mail Call Mail Time, where we unbox those things that we have gotten in the mail, and we show it off to you, so that way you get a little insight as to what stuff we buy online. Sunday is called The Wild. If we don't buy it online, we go out and find it in some sort of, mama pop's place, a mall, a little place on the side of the road. We go all sorts of places. And then, of course, we'll come back and we'll show that stuff to you. Monday nights, Crazy Card Collecting, where we will go ahead and unpack some cards right here live on air. Well, last week we did Street Fighter, the movie, as well as the Power Rangers, the movie cards. I do have to, concede and say that AllThatPat's cards for Street Fighters, I think, were just a little bit marginally better than mine, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll see what comes up next week. And then, of course, Tuesday, Slam Nation Wrestling, where AllThatPat and myself, we talk about what's going on in the world of wrestling, whether it is WWE World Wrestling Entertainment or AEW All Elite Wrestling. So definitely tune in to see which one we are talking about this coming Tuesday. I believe it's going to be WWE, but you just never know. That's why we tell you to like and subscribe to us. And then rounding out our 7-day work week, we do the game room on Wednesday night, where AllThatPat, myself, anybody else that decides to join us, where we will talk about or review a video game. Since we did the Street Fighter cards on Monday night, we played the Street Fighter game on the Sega Saturn. Wow. So which was cool to see. The graphics were really cool, but again, that's kind of our work week. So hopefully somewhere in our lineup, there is things that you like, the things that you enjoy, and we encourage you to come on back. And again, I'm going to say it one more time just because I can. Like, subscribe, spread the word of the New York Nerd Show. We've got stuff. We want you to see it. We want you to be part of our world.
Definitely do. And any of those shows that sound interesting to you, you can always check them out on replay. On our YouTube channel, Facebook, and Twitch.
Yes. So there's all sorts of fun stuff over there. We've got a full library over on YouTube. I think we're about that 150 video marks. So we've definitely been putting out a lot of content. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. But I think unless you guys have anything else you want to say, I think it's time to wrap things up.
Absolutely. Adios, everyone.
Well, as they say, if you can stream it, go watch it. Until next time, bye-bye.
Hello?